Welcome to my skin and wrinkle tutorial. In this study, I want to show you how to create shadows and highlights to make the wrinkles look three-dimensional, as well as to help you grow in this part of your art. And if you've never had to do these wrinkles, it's quite fun to look at. It's interesting. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of hair on them, but this is a really cool thing to do. So I started out with the background and I used Pan Pastel, the ultramarine blue, and I just mapped out all of the blue, and then I started with my cherries. Now the reason why I chose cherries, it's a very nice contrast, plus this subject, her name is Little Pig, and she loves cherries, so we decided to put that in the background for her. I started with the base color of the cherries, and then I continued to add the highlights and the lowlights and the midtones. If you want to learn how to create this piece, follow the link below to my Patreon page, where I have step-by-step instructions in real time and a list of supplies to help you create it. You can also follow me on Facebook, where you can keep up with all of my work as well as contests and giveaways that I have for all of my fans. So after I finished all the cherries, I decided to go in with the stems, and of course each one of them has their very own highlights and lowlights, so pay attention to that. And then we're going to continue now with Little Pig. Now I started with her eyes, but that's typical for me as an artist. I usually start with eyes, and then I continued to branch out from the eye, using the eye as my main focus. Now she was a grayish, brownish, blackish color, so there's a lot of mixing that goes on in here with my French grays, the browns and the black, along with some of the cooler grays to bring that highlight and make it pop out. And when you're blending these out, you want to make sure that you're not pressing really hard. You want to layer these on, these pencils. I'm using Prismacolor, and they're super nice, super soft. They blend really, really well. They're just a great pencil in my opinion. And then coupled with this Pastel Mat, it's just a really great paper as well that takes lots and lots of layers. So it really helps with your artwork. If you're looking to level up your artwork, try changing your paper if things look a bit cartoony, or if they just don't look as realistic as you want. Or maybe you do darker subjects where you have to layer some lighter layers on top, and this paper is really just a great paper for that. So as I was working on her, I realized that she has an awful lot more color than I thought she had, but obviously it just takes a lot of work. You just got to sit and push through a lot of different phases. Now, you'll go through a phase where you're unsure, or it's just looking really bad, and we call this the ugly phase. But most times if you just push through, you can really pull yourself and your piece out of that mentality, and you can really see the value in it. So don't ever give up unless it's you think it's a lost cause, or you really feel like you can do better. I've had several restarts, and of course on this one I had to restart my mind a few times because I wasn't happy with how it was turning out. But I pushed through that ugly phase and I really enjoyed the outcome. So just stay positive and keep pushing through it. Now for all the wrinkles, I mostly was basing out in my 70% warm gray because it has almost like a brownie kind of look to it rather than the cool grays. And I was also using the dark umber, and for the highlights I was using a cool gray as well as some of my lighter French grays, about 10%, and just trying to keep that whole color scheme going on of the darker grays, the warmer grays, and the rich browns. Now the feet were pretty dark and I wanted to keep them that way, but you want to make sure that when you do highlight that you're looking at every little piece and every little fold on the feet. And don't get discouraged. You can always, on Pastel Mat, you can always add an extra layer. You can pull up some color pencil as well by using the taping method. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up, or you can follow to my Patreon page where I can show you, and it's really quite simple and it has been a lifesaver for me in most cases. Now with folds, you usually have one side that's really dark. Obviously the creases are going to be darker and the top of the fold is going to be lighter. She actually had this weird spot in the middle where she was a lot lighter in the middle, and then it looked like it was almost like a fatty part, and then it kind of dipped down. So I wanted to portray that on paper very well and make sure that it looked like her skin. So now I'm to the end of my video and I'm finishing up the feet in the back, and I just wanted to say thank you for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I did.